Hi there, I'm Angela and this is Friday Sews. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. And a special thanks to all of you who are able to join the live chat. It's always so much fun chatting with you guys in the comments. And a special thanks to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room for creating the hashtag Friday Sews and giving us this opportunity to share our week, both in sewing and in life, and kind of I look at Friday Sews as a way to just unwind, kind of settle down from what may have been a long, maybe difficult week or not. Either way, it's a nice chance to catch up with each other. So yeah, thank you guys for stopping in. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we start chatting. So as you may or may not know, I've kind of been going back and forth with the best time to do the premiere video each Friday, which is where we can all chat in the comments. And since I started doing these, it's been at 7 p.m. Eastern. But then I put a poll out, and there were a good number of responders who thought that 5 p.m. Eastern might be a better time. So in order to kind of not be rigid, to be a little flexible, I did do it at 5 p.m. last week and it went pretty well. I saw some new names and got to chat with some people that normally I don't see jump on here on Fridays, so that was kind of nice. So what I'm thinking of going forward is primarily keeping it at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then maybe every third week or something like that, switching it up to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. just to give everyone else that can a chance to jump on and join the chat. So thank you guys for your input. I appreciate it. And thanks for being flexible as well and bearing with me while we try to sort through all of this out. So anyway, whatever time we do it, I'm so glad that you're here. I love chatting with you guys. It's one of the things that makes doing this channel very fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you guys too. So let's jump right into sewing. So I am very happy and proud to report that I did get some actual sewing done this week. Primarily last night. I was scrambling. I had it on my to-do list and I thought, I've got to have something to let everybody know about. I can't go on there one more Friday Sews in two in a row and say I didn't really do any sewing all week. So I did work on my, grab the pattern here, my Vogue V8996. I'm doing View A, the shorter version, and it's right here. What I've got done so far, hanging on Gertrude Jr. There's a little story behind why she's named Gertrude Jr., and I'll go into that in just a moment. So it's going pretty well, and I think I probably will end up doing a pattern review on this if it's still, by the time I'm finished, if it still seems readily available on Etsy and eBay, then I probably will do a full pattern review. But for now, the one thing that I want to point out right now, because I just dealt with it last night, and it wasn't like terribly hard. It just took a little bit of trying to figure the diagram out or the illustration and figure that out. And it was just also because it was something new for me. I hadn't done it before. So it was where this little waistline is, that's kind of like only on the side pieces. So the front piece is a full piece, if that makes sense. But then the lower side parts of the side skirt parts, the lower front and back of the skirt are separate. So it was a little tricky to figure that out, but I did get it. And I might go ahead and show you guys the illustration on the pattern to kind of show you what I mean a little bit better. So this is what the front looks like, and then this is where you stitch on the side front pieces of the skirt. So what you're doing you stitch the side pieces onto this little flat part hangs there. And then this was the actual, let's see, where is it? The actual tricky part, or not real tricky, but was closing up that gap after you've got the side pieces on. I know I'm kind of rambling and not making sense. Maybe I could show you on the actual dress. So this is the front center. I've already done that side, so we won't look at that. But this is the side part of the bodice, and this right here is where they join. And this is the side lower piece of the skirt. So stitching these two together was easy peasy. Straight seam, nothing tricky about that. But then what the trickier part was, and again, it wasn't tricky, I had just never done anything like this before, was when you close up this gap here between the front and the side front. Because what you're doing essentially is making a dart on the bodice and then stitching the skirt seam at the same time. So it's sort of like if you were doing a princess seam, but it didn't go all the way to the arm side or to the neck or to the shoulder. It ends in a dart. So like I said, not difficult. It's making sure everything's lined up really well. I think that was the key part for me. And one other thing that's making this, and maybe this is kind of what's making me like procrastinate on this project, is that the fabric is really slippery. I've sewn with rayon a number of times, but for some reason this is just seeming really, really slippery. Like I can't really, it's hard to work with, and I can't pin it down, literally and figuratively. So yeah, there's that. And I'm not sure if you guys can see all the way. Yeah, it looks like you can. So oops, on this side I've already attached it, and it does have a pocket right there, so that's kind of nice. Actually, that's really nice. The way the pocket falls is kind of more in the front of the bodice or lower skirt area rather than like a side seam pocket. So I don't think I'll be keeping like my phone in this pocket or a wallet or anything like that. But if you just want to slip your hands in a pocket, this will be perfect for that. So now that I've done the one side, it'll be much easier to do that other side, and then I'll have to do the same thing again on the lining, and it'll be like much easier now that I kind of have a grasp on like how the pieces come together. So yeah, I think it was just getting that first one in, and like I said, it wasn't like rocket science or crazy difficult. It's just I had never done that before. I guess you could think of it like as a dart that runs all the way down the whole length of the garment. Or on the other hand, like a princess seam, but that stops short right, at the bust area and ends in a dart or something like that. So once I started thinking about it like that and stopped trying to, I think the illustration was not the best. So once I stopped like relying on the illustration and started thinking of it like that, it made a lot more sense. Oh yeah, I can figure this out now too. Sometimes I make things a little more complicated than they really are. So enough about that. I'm glad I've made progress, and from here forward it'll be much easier. I feel like the hardest part's out of the way. It does have a zipper in the back, but the zippers aren't that difficult for me at this point. So I feel like the hardest part is out of the way. Now we can like onward. Yeah, so that's the only like actual sewing update that I have for you guys. And another kind of sewing related topic I wanted to bring up is wanted to see what everyone thinks about this. It would be kind of like a sewing hangout where you guys hang out with me like while I sew, and it could be a live or it could be just me videoing me sewing while I chat with you, kind of like a Friday sews where it's more relaxed and casual, but I'm actually sewing while I do it. So if you guys find that interesting, or you have zero interest in watching me sew and chat with you guys, let me know. I thought that could be fun, and I've watched a few videos where the YouTuber has done that, and I thought this is kind of nice. I'm just hanging out with them in their sewing room while they're working. So let me know your thoughts, and we could consider doing that. Also, I'm trying to be better about posting like some more candid and updated pictures on Instagram, but I'm not like the world's best at that, even though I do love Instagram. And same with Facebook. I try to be a little bit better, and the links to my Instagram and Facebook are in the description box below. If you're interested, you can find me there. So it's another avenue where we can chat and like have more of an exchange there. So that's another idea. Like I mentioned, the interactions and the conversations with you guys are what makes the channel fun for me, where we can share our ideas and our projects. We can get help when we need it and offer help to others. So I love that. I love that about this platform. It's one of my favorite things about YouTube. So that's really all the sewing that I have to share with you guys. So in life, a couple of things to let you know about there. So you may have seen in a previous video where I mentioned I found a new use for the selvages that I cut off my fabric and strips of fabric that otherwise would just get tossed as waste. I was going to start using those in my garden to tie up any plants that need like support, like to tie them up to a stake or a cage or something like that, like especially particularly tomatoes, because they can get really unwieldy as they get bigger as the season goes on. So I started doing that this week, and I grow tomatoes in two different ways. One, I grow them inside of a metal cage, which to me is the best way, because that cage really holds them in, gives them a lot of support structure to like fall over on or wrap around or whatever. Love those, but I'm limited on how many cages that I have. So I also, the other way that I kind of provide support to my tomato plants is to just use tall stakes and tie the stalk of the tomato plant to the stake, and then as the tomato plant's getting bigger and bigger, periodically, like every so many inches, tie it up again, and then go up the plant that way as it gets bigger and tying it up. That works, but it's not as good as a really tall, sturdy cage, but it does work. So with that, you definitely need something to tie the plants to the stake with, and previously I've used twine or those Velcro, like a roll of Velcro that you can use that's made specifically for the garden purposes. I've used that, but you know, you have to buy twine and you have to buy the Velcro roll, and maybe they're inexpensive. Maybe the Velcro is a little more expensive than twine. You don't get as much. And then I thought, I got these fabric strips, they're going to end up in the trash, so I'm just going to use those. So I started doing that this week, and I'll put a little video clip in here to kind of show you what that's like. So let's look at that now.
Let's take a quick peek here inside the greenhouse where I have some of my tomato plants growing. So you can see that I've used fabric strips to tie them. Like this one, I have it tied onto the support brace for the greenhouse. But then a couple of the others, there's a selvage, and I have it tied up to the stake here, which isn't real secure. So I might have to sink that deeper in or something like that. And then, so this is the selvage from the fabric I used for the Shelby dress. I don't know if you guys remember that whole project. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. So they're not only functional, but it's fun for me to see these on my tomato plants and think about that sewing project again.
So yeah, it seems to be working. I think it'll work. I don't see why it wouldn't. What do you guys grow tomatoes, and what do you use as support structures for the tomatoes? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments if you don't mind. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is this weekend, my husband and I are celebrating our 17th wedding anniversary. So we've been together for almost 20 years. I've been married for 17, and that's a big accomplishment. Wasn't always smooth, as I think like most marriages probably have the not so smooth parts, up and down. It can be a bit rocky, and you feel like you make it to a certain point and you're like, oh, we're doing good. We've got this thing down pat now. We have a system in place. It's all working. We've accommodated each other's ways and learned how to interact in the best way possible and treat each other well, those kind of things, and learning how to not let arguments and fights get the best of you. Just it's all about communication. That's what I'm finding. Communication and just simply treating each other well. I mean, it seems so basic and simple, but it took us a long time to learn that. And you feel like a lot of younger people, especially nowadays, may not know those kind of skills yet, or they haven't learned them yet. Otherwise, the divorce rate wouldn't be so high. So yeah, I feel like it's an accomplishment. So we are celebrating that big time. We were going to celebrate our 15th 2 years ago, and that was shortly after COVID began, and that was when everything was in lockdown, and we were living in our unfinished, dark, dirty basement while our whole house floors were being redone and reinstalled or whatever. So we were living in the dark basement amongst all the boxes on a makeshift bed that we had set up for 5 weeks. So that's how we celebrated our 15th. And then last year for our 16th, it was, we had just lost our dog about a month prior. So we weren't really in the mood to celebrate too much. We were still very heavily grieving that. It was hard loss for us. So this year we're going to do a little bit of celebrating. Yeah, so hopefully I'll have some good stories to tell you guys for next week's Friday Sews. Hopefully how much fun we had and give you a little more idea of what we did, where we went to dinner and things like that. So yeah, and the garden still, I'm spending 2 to 3 hours every day in the garden on top of work. So that's kind of another reason I haven't gotten much sewing in addition to procrastinating on this god-awful slippery fabric. Beautiful, but hard to work with. But it's getting there. Yeah, so the garden's keeping me busy. Once everything's in, everything's transplanted, all the seeds are sown, round about early June, first, second week of June, all that'll be done, and then we can coast for a little while. At that point, it's just keeping everything watered, weeded, making sure there's no pests or other kind of infestations or diseases, and it's just maintenance. Yeah, that's what it is. All the hard work's up front, and then it's just maintenance. So yeah, then I'll be back in my sewing room a little bit more. Pretty sure I will. Yeah, so moving on, I do have a featured channel for you guys this week, and it's called Sewing Nerd Confessions, and the woman who does it is named Marty Howell, and of course I will put a link to her channel below. She is pretty new. It looks like she just started posting videos in late March, and as of today when I'm recording this, I think she has 5 videos up, but they're really good. And there's 2 things that I love best about her channel. The first is that she's very happy. She smiles. She got a great smile, always smiling, personable, really friendly. And then the other thing that I love about her channel is she has this great ability to take a thrifted garment and make something spectacular out of it. The garment, she takes it apart and reconfigures the whole thing and adds it, maybe in some cases, to a garment that's already existing. And especially this is true with a bunch of jackets that she's done. You guys have got to go check it out. What she has done upcycling these garments is unbelievable. It's so cool and it's inspiring to me. I definitely want to try something like this. So yeah, so go check her channel out, and I think you'll like it, especially she did do one video where she did like a burn test on a bunch of different fabric swatches to identify what the fibers were. So I found that to be very interesting too. But I especially love how she has upcycled these garments and the jackets that she made. I mean, it's really, it's unbelievable. They look, by the time she's done with them, they look kind of like a high-end designer piece that you would get in like a boutique or a department store with like a designer label on them or something like that. They're so cool. Yeah, so go check that out and let me know what you think and say hi to Marty. I think that is about it. I'm so happy that you guys are watching and on the live chat with me. And I hope you're going to have a great weekend. Let me know how your week went and if you have any plans for the weekend. I hope you're going to get a lot of sewing in. And I hope you're going to just have a great weekend overall. And I'm not sure what next week's video is going to be about, but I have a good idea, so I hope you'll come back next week. I know that was vague, but it'll be something good. So I hope to see you back here next week. And until then, I will talk to you later. Bye.